It is a great honor to meet you, Palatine of Bostock. When the Baron sent me his invitation, he never mentioned that such illustrious guests would be attending.
But that's most friendly of you. And you are?
Oh, excuse me. How impolite. I am Countess Malgora del Incendio. I am visiting the Kingdom of Kosh on a personal matter. I couldn't help noticing that you arrived rather late. But then, our host has not set a particularly good example either, has he?
Trust me, dear Countess. No one is more saddened by these circumstances than I.
Of course. Why not? The Baron hobnobs with many of the most important figures in the Empire. As well as catching up with the Baron, I was actually hoping to meet some of them. But they all appear to have been unable to attend. What a shame. Of course. Why not? It's like all the other banquets held in the Kingdom of Kosh over the last 100 years. Terribly dull. Don't you think?
I would be lying if I said I was bored. I have business matters to discuss with the Baron.
Naturally. Why else would a man of your stature be here? It's just a little joke. I meant to say that nothing ever changes in the Kosh, that's all. But who knows? We may face great changes sooner than we think. Of course. Why not? What do you mean? Do you think the guests were lured away from the terrace under false pretenses? Or that the Baron's court magician is racing about the halls a bit too hastily? Or are you referring to the fact that you arrived late at the banquet and were not even announced as official guests?
Countess, please. Surely you don't mean to suggest that my late arrival is somehow connected with the court magician's haste?
Certainly not, my dear Palatine. What could an honest man like the Baron possibly have to fear from you? Let's just say that I have a lively imagination. Of course. Why not? I'm afraid not. All those dullards and that confused old man with his plot to besmirch draconic history. I hope they all rot in the deepest nether hell. I don't mean you, of course. To be honest, I had hoped that there'd be more people of your caliber here. I'm really only here to satisfy my curiosity about the Baron's new consort.
Well, then you'll be glad to know that I share your curiosity. I'm positively burning to meet this girl, Mora.
Of course. Why not? She does she? What exactly did she say? That's most interesting. Thank you. I suppose it's time for Mina and I to have a little chat. But tell me, what do you think of my gown? My fiery temperament. If only you knew how right you are. When I speak with her, our friend Mina of the Mountain will be surprised at just how fiery I can be. Again, thank you for your honesty. Of course. Why not? Thank you again for warning me about the Lady of the Mountain. Hopefully the Baron will appear soon and lend a little spirit to the banquet.
Greetings. I hope that you accept my apologies. I am sorry for calling you a seafarer. I certainly didn't want to embarrass you.
Nor did I wish to embarrass you, Lord Protector of Vardock. Let us forget the matter.
I am pleasantly surprised by your attitude. Until today, I only knew the House of Bostock from the rather prejudiced tales told in my family. If I must. As you perfectly well know, I barely know anyone here. But thank you for asking. I know quite a lot about the noble Mina of the Mountain. After all, she talks more than most people. She's hard to miss in that bright red dress and that utterly impractical hat. To put it in a nutshell, She's completely prejudiced. But then so are most of the blue-blooded gentry. Oh, she's also very indiscreet and very pushy. Oh, but doesn't that spit-roasted Wenghorn game with wine sauce taste divine? If I must. The invitation to his banquet came quite unexpectedly. I barely had enough time to make any preparations, and I'm bound to make a fool of myself. You have to keep up to date on all the latest heraldry. Apparently, some of the nobles have recently forced their liegemen to adopt a strange new emblem. I'm not at all sure what to eat. What dessert do you think is likely to be the more troublesome? The double onion-braided dwarven pastry, or Drakford dragon pudding? If I must. This little gathering is nothing compared to the rousing feast celebrated by my lord, Count Orsino Falconhurst. But I hear that there are a few surprises planned for later. According to rumor, the Baron plans to make Arnswin of Ravensmount a gift that will put my lord to shame. Wait, surely that's not butter and beer cake, is it? It certainly looks like it. If I must. Everything seems rather strange to me, but I guess it's just the gloomy atmosphere in this enormous castle. It reminds me of my family's fortress. Hawkwood's true. How depressing. This banquet is so dull that it's no wonder the Baron hasn't shown himself yet. The most exciting part so far was the announcement that the Baron has appointed a court magician. Perhaps he'll entertain us with a few tricks later. But knowing my luck, his magician will be one of those dull, bookish types. If I must. Yes, I too have been somewhat concerned. Not without reason, it would seem. I could choke on a troll cherry and suffocate. A relative of mine was killed when his cook forgot to skin the venison properly. That's true, unfortunately. People always misunderstand me. She probably knows my family. Several of them lost their lives under the most ridiculous circumstances. Perhaps I can change the honorable lady's mind about us. But I'll probably just embarrass myself by slipping in a puddle of wine. I have enough to worry about as it is. Perhaps I should confront our dear friend, Lady Mina of the Mountain, now. Not that she will admit anything.
Meeting you is a pleasure. Oh, yes, a pleasure. Oh, in case we've met before and you've forgotten my name, I am Rakorium the Tagonist, former Mean of Quicksilver Hall Festum.
Master, I think you mean Rakorium Montagonist, former Dean of...
But that's what I said, Nortal. Now stop interrupting. Can't you see I'm talking with the Honorable Pantomime of Snorstock?
Palatine, not pantomime, Master Rakorium.
Really? Well, I travel such a lot for my research, you know, and I meet so many people. What can I do for you? Oh, would you like to know something about magical goblets, perhaps? I read a very interesting manuscript recently. Yes, of course. What about Nottle? Yes, whatever. Oh, that's a good question. Tell me, haven't Prince Benane and Raidry Conquebert arrived yet? Or... Oh dear, I'm rather confused. That was another function that I planned to attend. Anything else? Yes, of course. What about Nottle? Yes, whatever. Baron Dagen? I've never heard of him.
But this is his banquet.
You mean this isn't the Fairdock Municipal Archive? Oh, I was wondering why the buffet was so grand. Yes, of course. What about Nottle? Yes, whatever. Well, this is a most impressive buffet for an archive. These extravagant dishes are most extravagant. But it really is too loud in here to think clearly. Did I tell you about that manuscript? At the moment, I'm working on the... What nonsense! The claptrap in this goblet... book is simply... Excuse me, I keep drifting off. Yes, of course. What about Nottle? Yes, whatever. Yes. Now that you ask, there's something very strange going on here. Come closer. I don't want to talk too loudly. Look at that buffet! Baked and battered Boltria bass on cold Kosh custard cream. Only a lunatic could come up with a combination like that. That's most unusual. It's retrospective. One might even say alliterative. Almost like that meal I once had at the Black Boar Inn. Yeah? What? Yes, of course. What about Nottle? Yes, whatever. According to the manuscript, the goblets... Oh, excuse me, I was thinking aloud. Who's ill? That's outrageous. You should never allow anyone to speak poorly of you. What about me? Certainly. Don't mention it.
Sheikh Sarid El Farouk bin Har at your service, Palatine of Borstok.
Greetings, Sheik. What brings you here in these troubled times? I hear that the mercenaries of Al-Anfas storm across your lands as we speak.
My friend and ruler, the Bey of Ferchaba, has requested that I travel to these foreign lands and seek out a new bride for him. He wishes to make a special addition to his harem. I think I have already found just the right woman to satisfy his desires. Countess Malgora del Incendio.
I would not want to interfere in your master's affairs, my most honorable Sheik. I would like to introduce you to someone.
Thank you. I will do my best. I don't know any of them personally, but I have spoken to a few of the guests. Only Countess del Incendio has steadfastly ignored me so far. She seems intent on testing my determination and my patience. The sight of this magnificent woman fills my heart with joy. It is almost as though I have found my one true love again. Shahrazad Karina Dorafsuni of the Beni Ish. Like I said, she is everything that the Bey desires for his harem. But she exudes such a menacing aura that I wonder whether I would survive were I to ask her to join my master's harem. Thank you. I will do my best. Well, I think you know the Baron better than I do. The Bey has had very little to do with the House of Nadaret in the past, but the Baron seems to share the Bey's appreciation of the beautiful things in life. Thank you. I will do my best. To be honest, it's all a bit tame. Don't get me wrong, but I think this is typical of the entire region. The wild banquets celebrated in the halls of Ferchaba are renowned for their revelry and sensuality. Indeed, I know of nothing to compare. This banquet, on the other hand, is, shall we say, rather quiet and reserved. But who knows? Perhaps something interesting will happen later. Thank you. I will do my best. I'm sorry, but as a foreigner, practically everything about this banquet seems strange to me. Especially these bizarrely named dishes. If, on the other hand, you are referring to the guests, then I must admit that you are the most interesting people here, aside from Countess Incendio. But now that I think about it, a short while ago a man in a white robe stalked across the banquet hall with 2 concubines on his arms, without even glancing at the assembled guests.
May I introduce myself, your lordship? Squire Truman of Trueleaf by Cantankeron. Your humble servant.
Trueleaf. The Baron has indeed invited quite an illustrious crowd. And so we meet, Squire Truman.
But of course, ask away. Well, I consider myself to be very well informed. The Baron is always good for a surprise, and the guest list for his banquet is no exception. But I would stay well clear of the good Lady Mina of the Mount. If you spend just a few minutes in her company, she'll never stop spreading lies about you, which she will probably do in any case. Yes, That pretentious laugh of hers, it's unbearable. Unlike these two beautiful ladies here. But of course, ask away. Dajin of Nadaret has many friends, and I'm glad to be one of them. He most recently befriended the former Imperial Chancellor Onswin of Ravensmouth. And as you can tell by this magnificent banquet, the Baron is a very rich man. And he is nearly as generous as I am. But of course, ask away. And why not? The young ladies are beautiful, the conversation pleasant, and the servants are more than willing to quench my thirst for good wine.
Indeed. You are quite right, Squire.
What? But my dear sir, at your age, well, I mean, I was just talking to these ladies. I'm sure you'll excuse me. But of course, ask away. Oh, well, a little adventure. I accompanied a lady out onto the balcony earlier. We think we heard someone crying out from the gorge below the castle. The guards told us that they were the cries of harpies, those horrid chimeras, winged women with neither arms nor legs. Who would create such useless creatures? The entrance to the balcony is over there at the end of the hall, but the doors are locked now. Apparently, the Baron is preparing a gift on the balcony as we speak. But of course, ask away. Pardon me for speaking so frankly, but I couldn't care less what she thinks. That's outrageous. A gentleman does not talk about financial matters in the company of a lady. I really don't understand why this despicable individual was even invited. And that goes for a few others here as well. Not including these two beauties, of course. Really? You have style, I must say. Telling me so bluntly about Mina of the Mountain's lies.
It is a great honor to welcome so many guests to my halls on this day. Yes, and I'm sure you will excuse my late arrival. My most recent conquest demanded my immediate attention. She is, without a doubt, the most beautiful creature in all the world. May I present to you my very own, truly unique, Mora.
Mora? I don't believe it. With Dajin?
At last, I can finally catch a glimpse of the person who is responsible for this whole mess.
Ah, more guests. I don't remember sending you an invitation. Who are you?
Ardo of Boarstock. How interesting to meet you in person. I've heard plenty about you, Dajin.
Really? But then, who hasn't heard of me? What was your name again? Boarstock?
That's right. I'm sure you know my name in connection with Rudo's shield.
Who? You were the guardian of the Imperial insignia. A position of great responsibility, I'm sure. I take it your family enjoys the favor of His Magnificence the Emperor.
Indeed we do. The twin virtues of loyalty and honor are held in high esteem by my family. I take my responsibility very seriously.
Of course, of course. You must tell me more about this. I'm sure the ladies will understand if we retire to discuss this in private.
That's most agreeable. We should speak openly and frankly with one another. I have a number of questions to put to you.
So, nobody will disturb us here, my dear Palatine.
Very good, Dajin of Nadaret. I charge you with committing treason against your rightful lord, collaborating with criminal elements, and conspiracy of theft. What do you have to say in your defense?
But I am merely fulfilling my destiny. I must have the title. It is my birthright. I'm sure you understand. After all, you too belong to one of the ancient noble houses. It is the result that matters, and I'm sure that you, of all people, will understand that. You didn't really think that you could put an end to my plans here in my magnificent castle, did you?
Don't be too sure of yourself, Dajin. Entire civilizations have been brought down by pride.
You appear to have underestimated me. Or did you truly think that your accusations would be more persuasive than a cow?
Ramming a metal stake through his heart might be more persuasive, Ardo.
I must say, you are rather stubborn, aren't you? But I'm sure you wouldn't want to shed any blood so close to my guests, most honorable Palatine.
No, I won't risk besmirching my good name for the sake of someone like you.
Yes, I thought as much. Well then, guards! Disarm these gentlemen! Escort them to my dungeon and make them comfortable in one of the more spacious cells. Understood?
Don't resist. This is no place for a battle. Dajan, remember my words. Your greed will be your downfall.
Yes, of course. I have an appointment with the Master. It would be impolite of me to keep him waiting, after all he has done for me. So, if you'll excuse me.
Greetings, gentlemen. As I am sure you are aware, we have a very strict dress code down here. The better your behavior, the fresher your meals will be. Yelling, screaming, and other disturbances will be punished with starvation, which is a good way to solve that problem. And since I'm a generous man and I like to give our newcomers a warm welcome, here. Don't eat it all at once. Oh, and don't even think of escaping. You'll never dig your way out of this castle with your bare hands. No matter how desperate you might be, these walls are stronger.
What a character. The jailer's welcome surprise is rotten fish.
And trusting your plan landed us behind bars.
The Baron thinks he's incapacitated us. This gives us the chance to keep searching for the crown. Those bars won't keep us here for long, my friends. I'm not as young as I once was. All this excitement could cause my heart to fail. Your cries for help would certainly lure the jailer into the cell. Let's look and see if there's any way to improvise weapons of some kind. Tell me when you're ready.
Leave me be, Dajan. I'll never belong to you. Who are you? Kano, is that really you?
Mora, I'm here, to take you back to Havina. You are the Queen of the Thieves. You've won.
Who are you calling Queen? I'm the Baron's prisoner, my dear. By Fex, I didn't think anyone would ever find me here, but you did it. You will save me.
I know you. You were one of the maids in my household. The new maid that... So you are Mora. It was you who stole the crown.
Forgive me, your lordship. What I did was more than foolish. It was a game that got out of hand. But the fact that you have come here to save me proves that you are indeed a man of honor.
I told my companions that the thief had eyes which glittered brighter than the stars in Fex's sky. And that was something they wanted to see for themselves, my dear.
Well, what's happened cannot be undone. I think that, like Kano, you should have the opportunity to make good the damage you have caused, Mora.
I would be delighted. But I don't know all of your companions yet.
And I am Yakon Zagor of Festum. How do you do? I'm sure you have plenty to tell us.
I would be glad to answer any questions you might have about what happened. The man who hired my services wanted to extort a large sum of money from you, my Lord Palatine. He offered me a handsome reward, and of course there was the fame associated with carrying out a grand coup. I'm sure you have more questions. The pirate's ambush was part of the Baron's plan, as was the journey to Castle Nadaret. After that, Dajan hid me here because Coldstone made it clear that he wanted me dead.
If it wasn't just plain greed that saved you, you could almost be grateful. Although I'm sure he hoped to receive some kind of reward in return for his compassion.
I'm sure you have more questions.
Right now, we need to know where the crown is located.
I once spied it in his treasure chamber. The Baron took me there one night to show me his jewels.
Show us the way. I must retrieve the crown before it's too late.
There's a hidden entrance to the treasure chamber down in the dungeon. After you.
Stop! You're not going to get away that easily. Whoever you are, your plans have been discovered.
You haven't hoodwinked us for nothing. This calls for a fight to the death. Defend yourselves!
By my word, it's not here!
Daedra must have it with him. It was lying right there when I was last here. But Daedra mentioned something about a handover that was to take place soon thereafter.
Who was he going to hand the crown over to?
He said that the crown was to be delivered to a certain Onswin of Ravensmound. He said something about Onswin being the rightful emperor who will restore the Empire to its true glory. He hopes to garner his support in exchange for helping Ravensmound lead a coup against Emperor Hal. He even had a statue of him made to gain his favor.
Ravensmound? If the Emperor's nephew lays claim to the crown while he is holding it in his hands, we have to stop it.
I think Ravensmound was responsible for that. Coldstone delivered it to the Baron, who gave it to me in order to conceal the theft until they were ready to launch their attack.
If I hadn't tried to steal the crown from you, Mora, then their plan would have been a success. You can imagine the look on my face when I discovered what I had in my hands.
I'm sure that Daedra has hurried to collect the crown after our little confrontation. We have to discover where he is without... What's that sound? Our way back is blocked. I'm getting tired of these games. Mora, what's going on?
How should I know that? The door closed automatically. And I know as much about this secret passageway as you do. Nothing.
The banquet must be over. What shall we do now?
Spoken like a true hero, my friend. I am glad to have you at my side. Let's prepare for battle and take back Ral's crown at last.
The time of uncertainty and doubt is over. Now is the time for action.
By Fex, let's hope the crafty one means well with us in sending us down this path.
Mora, you're still alive. Coldstone will be very interested in this development. Those snoops from Natteret have turned up with her. They'll be here any minute.
It seems my congratulations were premature, old friend. Didn't you promise to eliminate that thief?
Oh, I'm inconsolable, Master. With my own hands, I ordered my men to kill her.
While your choice of words presents a paradox, it does seem rather apt considering the circumstances.
What do you mean?
I mean that I will take this matter into my own hands now.
No! She belongs to me! Mora? My castle? Stop that at once, Coldstone!
That's where you're wrong. This is only the beginning, my dear Baron.
My castle! My playmate! No!
That was our first lesson. Jasmine, will you be so kind as to welcome our guests?
I have studied their attacks, Master. It is impossible to defeat them in this manner.
You must adapt your strategy to the situation. Remember the spells that won your master's respect.
You're right, Master. When faced with a more powerful enemy, you have to use their strength against them. Duplicatus contrarius!
It is time for you to leave, Jasmine. You know your orders. Go now.
As you wish, Master. Transversalis!
Your fate is sealed. Surrender.
Remember, my dear Palatine, pride comes before the fall. I have a number of very influential allies.
By the 12 gods! A truly ferocious battle must have raged here.
Mora! Praised be Fex, you are still
Excuse me,
alive.
my worthy Coldstone. You appear to have something which does not belong to you.
This is the end. The end of everything. My castle. My beautiful castle.
Follow me, you sniveling wretch. We'll soon find you a more robust home.
The Baron of Nadaret is clearly no longer the master of his own mind. A successor must be appointed. I will attend to this matter as soon as time permits.
Well, the search is finally over, and the crown is safely stowed away. Everything that has anything to do with the crown
will remain a secret. It's a matter of honor to me.
That applies to every one of us. The story of our journey must remain a secret among friends. The damage that would be done to the Emperor would be irreparable. Even now that it's all over. My thanks, Gerlin. I'm deep in your debt. But not only that. I thank you too, my friends, for it was your heroic deeds that saved the crown. It was an honor to share this adventure with you.
Your lordship, Mora and I have agreed to work together in future.
In other words, our wager is off, and we are no longer a threat to the crown.
What a relief, Mr. and Mrs. Foxhill.
So now you know.
Now I understand why you never told me the story.
Well, Shorty, does my daughter know our secret now?
Stop!
Yes.
Wait! Whatever happened to the traitor, that Ravensmount fellow?
He was able to snatch the crown after all, and he managed to hang on as Emperor 7 whole days.
Well then, Onswin was put on trial, and all who followed him were left holding the bag on the losing side.
The true treasure? Well, your parents got that. A cheeky kid.
Hey!
Wait another minute, Forgrim. What did you do then?
Oh, right. There were a couple of other things. Pay attention.
What a mess. It'll take a lot of love and money to hush that up.
Yes, Coldstone had the potential to destroy, but it didn't do him any good. I wish Ferris was still alive. Everything seems so flat.
Yes, I know what you mean. It's hard to come to terms with these losses. I'm glad, though, that we were able to put a stop to Coldstone's scheming. Perhaps that will go some way towards making amends to his victims.
Yes, who knows what else that Coldstone has planned.
What do you mean? When I was in Furdark, I asked my old IGIA contacts for help. There are only a couple of inconsequential files on Coldstone there. They prove that he worked for the IGIA under Onswen of Ravensmound. After Emperor Rito dissolved the IGIA upon his inauguration, it was re-established on Onswen's advice in the year 984 BF. At the time, Onswen was Privy Councillor and directed the agency between 984 and 998 BF. Coldstone and Ravensmound must know each other from back then, but there's no proof. Even if there is any documentation on it, it must be deep in the dungeons of the IGIA stronghold in Koshtown. I wasn't able to get access to them. Dajan was just a cheap henchman for Coldstone. Well, he had his own agenda at any rate. Something that went further than Groen's disempowerment and the discrediting of Emperor Hal. Who knows what would have been in store for us if Coldstone hadn't been stopped. Is there anything else I can do for you? I'm going to the Mellow Ox to meet a contact I've been working with for a very long time. We're going to work out a strategy for detecting those traitors who have not yet been unmasked. Well, it's not really that exciting. Now that the snake's head has been chopped off, those people cannot expect any support. You should stop by sometime and see for yourself how things are. Apart from that, I'm going to have a lot to do with Groen. He needs to be informed about all the things that have been happening in his county recently. Is there anything else I can do for you? The Blue Griffin on the white ground. Heraldically speaking, the griffin is the animal on the coat of arms of the Midden Realm. Blue represents loyalty, and white stands for purity. What a noble coat of arms these traitors have created for themselves. But anyway, one's own view of things is often somewhat glorified. I almost feel a bit sorry for that Sir Errand of Olming. I really think he thought he was doing a good deed for the Empire. Is there anything else I can do for you?
I'd really like to help you for a while. Things for me would be very boring without you. Gerlin will surely understand that and release me from my duties.
Of course, Yakon. Oh, how I'd love to have the time to go off seeking adventure once more, alongside my stressful and time-consuming work in the Privy Council. But I can already hear my paperwork beckoning.
When all this is over, I'd like to assist you again, Gerlin. The well-being of the Midden Realm is, as you know, something that is very dear to my heart. And I think I could make a worthwhile contribution there.
Is there anything else I can do for you? Well, if there are no further questions, I'll be on my way.
Come closer.
It's incredible. I can't believe all the things that have happened recently. My loyal Fulgrim, what would I have done without you?
Yes, that's a story we can only tell at home in Rudo's shield.
Down in the old wine cellar, yes, I know. It will be difficult not to mention it. Nonsense, come and join us. You can't possibly disturb us. Fulgrim and I owe you our honor and our lives.
Fiddlesticks, you did more than that. You proved yourself a true friend.
But of course. Look at them. The quarrel of lovers is the renewal of love. Fex have mercy on us if they ever have children.
Stressful. Huh. Even I quite like that scallywag now. Huh? What am I saying?
Kano's heart is in the right place. He's learned a lot, as have we all. Any more questions? It's going back to safekeeping in Rudo's shield. As soon as I get back home, the guards will be increased, the walls raised, and a few observant people hired. I'd like to tell Emperor Hal everything. Gerlin says, however, that telling the Emperor at this point wouldn't be a good idea. It could lead to over-hasty reactions. As soon as he's sorted out everything here, Gerlin will set off for talks with my nephew, Blasius of Borstok, Prince of Kosh, and Count Groen of Ferdok. Everything pertaining to Dajan will be discussed there. Stay out of it initially and wait to see what happens. I'm happy having nothing to do with politics for the time being. The secret surrounding the crown is in good hands with Gerlin. Any more questions? Well, you decide. We're in your debt. And we've still got 1 or 2 things left to do. The ship is at your disposal.
Nonsense. We're not in a hurry to get back home either. Are we, Ardo?
Any more questions? Let me put it like this. There are enough scoundrels in the Midden Realm who want the old times back. Onswin of Ravensmound is undoubtedly one of them. It hasn't been proven that he has anything to do with this matter. And even if that is the case, his 2 court scribes will present the story in the correct light. Any more questions? It's hard to say, but we haven't heard the last of her.
Tell me, the family of this Ravensmound, aren't they supposed to be wealthy?
Do we want to bet again? We could...
Oh, you're not disturbing us. Mora and I...
Can we help you? Yes, we were just talking about that.
Didn't you want to place another bet?
Oh, Kano, don't take everything so seriously. When this adventure's over, you and I should devise something special to do together in Albernia.
Is there anything else? Well, I was a contender for the Havina Thieves' crown for some time. The King of Thieves at the time, Merker Solomon...
Didn't want to make things too easy for Kano, so he advertised the position. Kano wasn't bad, but I think I beat him to it.
You were caught, so points should be deducted. Without her help...
You see, you weren't alone anyway. Points should be deducted for that, too.
Is there anything else?
Well, it happened like this. It had already occurred to me that Kano might be planning to forestall me, so I took the direct route. I told Ardo that I was a noblewoman who had fallen on hard times and that I would like to be his daughter's handmaid. Convincing that wary old warrior and his bodyguards was very difficult.
Ah, all you probably had to do was wiggle your hips and bat your eyelashes.
Exactly, Kano, and in comparison to you, I'm quite beguiling. I did, after all, charm Ardo and Forgrim. The rest is very simple. I stole down into the cellar and switched out the crowns while Ardo and Forgrim were getting roaring drunk in the next room. Then I just slipped out of the castle like that.
Well, that was arguably far too easy. It only counts as a true fexcapade if it involves the requisite level of difficulty. Is there anything else? That was all just a really stupid coincidence. If you hadn't taken the crown, Mora, everything would have gone smoothly anyway. I'd just snuck past countless guards and avoided lethal traps.
You really do have a good imagination. There was no guard there, and I didn't see any traps there either. At most, Ardo and Forgrim were downstairs doing justice to the pale ale.
Mora, let me tell my story. I don't interrupt you during yours. Then I held Raoul's crown in my hands and realized it was a fake. I wept bitterly because Fex had obviously permitted himself a terrible joke at my expense.
It wasn't Fex, Kano, it was me. I played that trick on you. And apparently you were so loud that Ardo's old watchdog started barking.
Mora, please!
If we want to keep this secret, we should get going now, before the first attendants arrive.
You're right. Thank you again for your help.
First, I'm going to detain Dajan in his chambers.
We're on the Thalaria, down at the harbor.
I've got to go to the Mellow Ox first. I'm going to meet a contact of Groen's there. We want to discuss how to find the remaining traitors.
Gerlin, I'm going to stay with my friends for a little while longer.
Of course. Make sure nothing happens to the Palatine. If anyone's looking for me, I'll be in the Mellow Ox. Arves be with you.